I know what I'm getting into around e-commerce. Tell me firstly about Webtonic. What do you guys do?
E-commerce, fintech, banking and financial, AI integration, end-to-end custom development. Webtonic, think, design, build.
Hi Daryl, hope you're doing well. Just reaching out because I believe that you have some requirements for e-commerce.
Yes, yeah, thanks for contacting me. I do appreciate it. I just want to find out a few things before I know what I'm getting into around e-commerce. Tell me firstly about Webtonic. What do you guys do? How long have you been in business? We want to make sure I'm working with some reputable guys here.
Sure. So Webtonic, we are a custom software development house, if I can call it that. We've been doing this for the past 13 years, where we've developed custom software platforms, applications, and websites for different companies within South Africa, as well as globally in the European and APAC regions as well.
So is e-commerce one of the things or part of that development that you guys do, or how's that work?
Correct. So we've got a few areas that we do specialize in. So some of them being financial services, fintech, and then e-commerce is part of our expertise that we specialize in as a service that we provide to customers.
Okay, thanks. I've got a factory that manufactures parts and then assembles parts. And we have some parts that get delivered in a manufactured state that we then got assembled with some of the parts that we manufacture. So it's a bit of, I suppose it's like I said, manufactured parts as well as individual parts that then get put together and sold off to our suppliers that then go off to the mining industry. So I don't know much about how this will work, but basically we want to have some sort of an inventory management and some sort of a quality control before it gets sold out to the customer. And the customer would then go purchase those assembled units online or individual parts if they need replacements for the parts that we've already sold them. Is that something that would work well in an e-commerce sort of setup?
Yeah, so thanks for giving the breakdown. So what we look at specifically in an environment like this is we in essence create what we call like a business-to-business type e-commerce platform, where your customers basically engage with you as a business, and they're able to sort of browse what type of products or parts they are looking for, and they are able to purchase that then and place the orders off your website. Part of that process with them would also involve them creating an account with you guys and then be able to track, whatever they've ordered from a logistics perspective, where their orders are tracking, et cetera, et cetera. So depending, if Daryl, if you could just maybe give me just a little bit of understanding of sort of how many customers you expect to sort of visit your site, or sort of from a supplier perspective, how many suppliers will be engaging. Then that also give me an idea which direction we're moving into.
Okay, cool. So from the supply side, on the products that are delivered in whole form, we've probably got about 3,000 or 4,000 products. And then when it comes down to the products we manufacture, it's about another 3,000 or 4,000 as well, just give or take, based on what gets ordered and what we keep in stock. So we don't keep everything in stock all at once. Then as far as the customer side goes, we supply to a variety of mines throughout South Africa and Southern Africa as well, Sub-Saharan Africa. And so I suppose logistics might get complicated going cross-border as well as billing, but that's what we're up against. So it's local. As far as numbers go, there's not like thousands of mines. There's a good handful that buy from us, but it's a lot of people within the mines and various departments that would be buying from us as well. So I can't tell you exact numbers, but it's I'd say probably a couple of hundred people, close to 1,000 people probably per month that buy from us.
Perfect. Yeah. So specifically in this scenario, what you're looking at is you're looking like at an enterprise level platform. I think, the most crucial part of it is the fact that you have thousands of products or options available for your customers and clients. And what you want to do at the end of the day is you want to be able to specialize and cater for that. So you want an enterprise solution that is able to, provide the scalability for you. So as you upscale or downscale in the number of products, you're able to do that and facilitate that on this platform. And I think also with the amount of customers that you have, naming that there's a couple of hundred people who'll typically engage, you also want to be able to manage that volume in terms of people visiting the site, creating accounts, placing orders, and then also use your platform as basically the go-to platform to place their orders, track their orders, launch any queries if they possibly have, or engage with you directly as a business in terms of, if there's any concerns or queries that they might raise. So from our perspective, we're quite happy to assist with that. So one of our specialization in terms of from an e-commerce perspective of building these type of platforms, specifically we are looking at Magento as an option, and we find that Magento is now currently owned by Adobe Commerce, is a specialized e-commerce platform that can handle these type of volumes.
So you say Magento is an e-commerce platform. Is it like a Shopify or something like that?
So if you think about Shopify, so quite interesting that you should ask that. So if think about it falls in the same category as Shopify, but it's on an enterprise level and totally customizable. So what we find is the difference is a lot of people are looking for e-commerce websites or to develop platforms, and the first thing that they see or look at when they Google this is something like Shopify. And Shopify is fantastic if you are, building like a small little shop, online shop where you've got a couple of products that you are selling online. But if we're looking at the scale of what you're talking about, you're definitely looking at an enterprise platform, and that's what Magento offers you. So Magento offers an enterprise level platform that is completely customizable to your requirements. It's got the integration capability of different third-party plugins that we can develop. So, for example, you mentioning that you're doing cross-border sales as well, not just in South Africa but in sub-Saharan Africa. We are able to provide the third-party plugins to assist with the shipping, logistics, the currency conversion. All of those aspects we can assist with. So there's a lot of customizability and integrations that are available with Magento, which is sort of plays directly in your space on an enterprise level. The other benefit of that is that I know this might sound a little bit everybody talks about this, but going into or investing in a platform like Magento, which sort of ensures that your business is future-proofed on that platform. So what that means is if you need to scale and you need to add another 3,000 products or another 2,000 products, you are able to do that because Magento can handle that as a platform.
Right.
And then from our side, our involvement is obviously to ensure that we develop your website and your platform on Magento to sort of meet all your requirements, create the space in the room to scale accordingly, and also to be able to handle all the front end and back end processes. So clients coming onto your site and shopping, as well as the back end side of things from logistics and shipping and accounts and data protection and all of that.
Yeah, this is good. It actually makes me think of another aspect then. A lot of the products that we have are almost, we don't manufacture them or assemble them until they ordered or paid for. So would that be able to handle that? We know, let's say a customer buys product A and it's got 25 components that need to be built. Would that be able then to compile it in the back end so our guys know what to pick from the stores to go and assemble that product, and with X amount of time that it takes to assemble that product before delivery gets scheduled? Is that something that could be built in if you say it's this customizable?
Yeah, so from that perspective, what you are explaining, it is definitely doable. So it is something that we look at from a development perspective. So we look at different scenarios. So if a client comes to the website and they order certain parts, I would assume on your side as well, if somebody orders part X, they might also need part Y to complement that part.
Correct. Yes.
So that is all the functionality that we can build into the platform to ensure that there are certain prerequisites when people place orders. And then when that order is placed, it's almost like a bundle that goes to your back end. I call it a bundle, but sort of it groups all the product sets together into the different categories, and it can go to your backend where the manufacturing process then starts.
Okay, great. So you spoke about the logistics. So this is obviously a concern because our customers always want the cheapest logistics to get up to Africa specifically. You know, locally it's not so much of a problem, but going cross border it is. How do will the system automatically be able to, I don't know, send requests to logistic companies, get quotes back, and we can decide who we book from there? Or would that need to be a manual process? And would that happen at checkout, or would it happen when we plan delivery? I'm not sure actually how that would work.
Yeah, so when we look at these type of integrations, basically it's integrations with logistics or courier companies, if I can, for lack of a better word. So it's an integration into the website. So the courier fees or shipping fees are automatically calculated on checkout through, as they're busy checking out and placing their order. All of that is handled in the back end in integration, typically with these specific courier companies. So it's not that you necessarily have to go and log, or somebody individually have to go and call the courier company to have these products shipped, or to create a ticket for that, etc. All of that can be automated from our side.
Yeah, good, because that's always a bit of a concern. All right, no, that's perfect. And when it comes to payment gateways, being cross-border again, it's mostly in US dollars, but locally we get some in rands and some in US dollars, depending on the mining house we're dealing with. What do you suggest we use as far as payment gateway goes, to the local banks or to international? I'm not sure. It depends. I have no clue how that would pan out.
Yeah, so that's one thing that we don't I can't give you a direct answer straightforward. So for us, it's basically, and sort of just to create a little bit of context around it as well. How we like to work is in these type of scenarios where we are developing enterprise platforms, we want to understand your business requirements and processes in depth. So before we make these type of recommendations.
Okay.
So if we look at it, it depends on where the majority of your business is coming from. So is it South Africa? Is it, neighboring countries? What are the currencies that most of your clients are currently using when they are paying for these orders? So all of these things we sort of delve in to get a better understanding, also to understand what is their checkout processes, what do we look at from the different invoicing applications that are available, et cetera, et cetera. So once we have understood all the requirements of your business and how your customers interact and pay for their orders, that is when we typically make a recommendation for payment gateways. The nice thing about it is there's a whole market of payment gateways that have been developed, and there's a whole lot of partners that we can recommend from a third-party application perspective that can integrate with your website to create a gateway for your customers, whether it's focused on the South African market or sub-Saharan Africa, or even if you are looking at expanding beyond Africa, then there's also the options to do that as well.
Okay, great. So also, and another thing as well, a lot of these guys only pay on, will order on purchase order and pay on invoice then. Is there a way to make that work as well? Because, they're not going to pay by credit card. I'm guessing it's going to be some sort of this is big equipment. It's not like buying a chocolate at $10. So how would that work? Is that something that can be worked out as well?
Yeah, so there can be an invoice system that is developed and implemented on this as well. So, you basically issue an invoice to your customer, and they provide a purchase order that is uploaded. What we have done in the past as well, we've developed, once somebody signs on and creates an account, they basically go on a journey where they can also be vetted with you as a potential customer. So that, all their details, company details, the registration details, all of that have been vetted. They're a vetted customer of yours, they're registered, and then through that, everything can be automated. So you can raise an invoice and they can generate a PO and upload that PO, and that sort of filters into your back-end system from an accounting perspective.
Oh, that's great. So just a thought on that as well. I don't want to burden our current clients with having to go and load themselves onto the system. Is that something we'd need to do manually, or how do we get our current buyers that we already trust. What you've just described now sounds good for like a new client, but for current clients, how do we get them onto the system without putting them through the hassle?
Yeah, so if you do have a current database of customer information that's available, we can definitely look at migrating that into a new platform, so that you don't have to go manually, sort of go and do the manual labor of uploading it, or go and burdening your clients to go and re-register or provide all the information all over again. So yeah, there's different ways to do it always. So if you have the data available, it's easy for us to sort of migrate that to a different platform.
Okay, perfect. Another thing we're thinking of those is a lot of our clients are, well, a lot of where our products are used are in the field. And what we want to try and do to make it easier for them as well is when they're there to kind of, I don't know, I'm guessing, pull out their phone and say, yeah, we need X, Y, and Z for this thing to carry on working because it needs a replacement or whatever on the machinery, to almost put through, I don't know what it'd be called, like an order list that then we could then later on get a purchase order made for that. Is that something that's possible? So, while they're at the coal face, they can kind of see what's wrong and say, hey, we need X, Y, and Z. Is it how would that work?
So that would sort of that would typically translate into creating, once they've registered their accounts with you, is basically translating it into almost like a mobile type account that they can sort of log in from their mobiles, and then be able to log queries, create orders from their mobiles in essence. So, definitely possible to look at something.
Okay,
like
good.
that.
So so they don't have to get back to their desks to go and place this order. They're right there. They know what it is. They put in their things, and then we can process from there. Okay.
Exactly.
As far as security goes, I'm guessing with dealing with banks and payment gateways or whatever, that the security should be safe enough for anybody cross border or locally to make payment on, and not have any risk of fraud and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so there's, I think security today is quite crucial for any type of platform that has been developed. So from security measures, we look at, we do regular vulnerability assessments to understand, what possible vulnerabilities there are on the platform, and sort of to mitigate any potential risks with regards to that. From Webtonic perspective, base coding practices are followed to ensure the safety of your data, and to ensure that there are no risks of that data being compromised. SSL certificates play a big role in that. So SSL certificates is just another layer of security to ensure that connections can't be interrupted or sort of hijacked by cyber criminals. So all of that. So sort of in a nutshell, we follow best practices in terms of coding when we're developing these platforms, to ensure that your data is safe. The other aspect of it is also looking at sort of the compliance measures. So if we look at an e-commerce site, if there's transactions that's being handled on it, there is a certain element of compliance that also falls in line with that. We do provide some guidance with regards to that as well. So if we look at in your case, there won't be any credit card transactions necessarily, but if we look at where there's credit card transactions, there's a certain element of PCI compliance that need to be in place as well.
Okay.
I think the other aspect of it is just for your client's data as well. So it's not just transactional data, but it's your client's actual data in terms of company details, contact information. All of that, we ensure that information is secure and it's not at risk to be compromised.
Yeah, fair point. Are you talking about puppy sort of stuff or that kind of thing, or? Okay.
Yeah. So if we look at it from POPI, the sort of the more broader term being GDPR, all of that we sort of look at from a security perspective.
Okay, cool. So another thing we want to do as well is the guys on the ground. Not that we properly incentivize them to make purchases because it's only on need, but is there some sort of a reward or loyalty sort of system that we can put in place there as well, so we can thank them for their business and I suppose reward them when they help us make sales.
Yeah, so typically, depending on your business requirements and sort of how you want to structure it or how you want to approach it, we can help you to develop a custom loyalty program to integrate with existing solutions or to encourage repeat business.
Okay.
So, and we can help to build that or integrate that within your platform as well. So just to sort of encourage repeat business from your customers.
All right, perfect. So I'm running out a bit of a time now, but there's two other things that I want to know. The one that's a big concern, especially up in Africa, is the data, the speeds of the internet is not that great. Would the mobile app that you suggested just now, would that work well, even with sometimes poor data, depending where they are on these mines and that?
Yeah, correct. So we look at it when we look at this from from a business requirement perspective. We look at who your target market is, where they are based, what the typical engagement rate is, how long these people will be engaging, what's the type of data that's being transmitted, and from that we are able to customize it to be sort of friendly and data friendly. If I can call it that. So sort of to be data friendly for whoever is using it. If they're on a mobile phone and they only have 3G or poor connection, that they're still able to log in at least to their platform, be able to place orders or log any queries that they might have from their side.
Okay, so it should still work regardless. I mean, sometimes they're going to be out of signal, out of range or whatnot, but they have to move then, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the other thing is, as far as the budget goes and timing, how do we plan out how long this should take? You spoke about an analysis of the business to see what we actually need. How does that work? And what do you need from me if we had to look at using you guys as a next step? Yeah.
So sure thing. So how we approach these type of projects is typically we do a 2-week to a month discovery phase, where we get our business analysts and some of our architects involved. And they basically do an in-depth analysis to understand exactly what your business requirements are, what the scope of work is, and how we would go about to develop this platform specifically to meet your requirements.
Is there a cost to that? Sorry to cut you off there. Is there a cost to that? I mean, that if it's 2 weeks worth of work, it can't be for nothing. How do you calculate what that's worth? I mean, don't tell me if you can't now. If you don't know what it is now, that's fine. But how do you budget? How do we budget for that actually?
Yeah, so the discovery phase, there is definitely a cost involved.
Okay.
So in essence, what we do, and there is, even if we've done the discovery phase, whatever information is being generated it's your IP and it's sort of your scope of work in essence.
Okay.
So once our business analysts have done the discovery, they understand what the requirements are, the processes, and what the scope of work is. They document all of that. They provide that to you, and you can use that at the end of the day. So that is typically how we approach it. And then once we have the scope of work and the requirements, we sit down with you, we present it, we work through all of that information with you. And then what we do is we create a roadmap of what we are working towards in terms of a release date or what we call like an MVP, a minimum viable product. So we sort of create a roadmap and an estimation of how long it will take and sort of the amount of resources that are required on this. Sometimes it depends on the complexity of the project. For you guys, it is quite an enterprise level project where you've got thousands of products. Mm-hmm. Then it becomes a little bit more complex. It takes a little bit more time because it's the front end and the back end side of things that need to be taken into consideration.
Okay, that makes sense. So on that then, I think that my last question would be, as far as the thousands of products go, do we need to supply you with the imagery, with the detail around those products, and who loads them? Because that's a boatload of work as well.
Yeah, so initially all the information that you have around your products we would require. Okay. So images and descriptions. If there are videos, if that's applicable, then
so we can put videos. Okay, cool. Because we've got some usage examples. Okay.
Yes, all the media that you have available around your products, you can provide to us, including the descriptions that you have of these products. What we do is, we go through the process of uploading it and getting it there, but what we do as well, as part of our journey with you as a customer, we also there's an element of training that's involved as well.
Okay, good.
So that, once the site is up and running, you guys are happy, you don't have to call us every week if there's, 10 or 20 products that you need to upload. It's, we sort of show you guys how we sort of provide some training so that you are to a certain degree self-sufficient. What we do provide though is once everything goes live is we look at a support and a maintenance retainer typically, and it's just to ensure that, from an e-commerce perspective, there's always updates on platforms. So we want to make sure that you're on the latest version for cybersecurity reasons.
Okay.
And also if there's feature changes or enhancements that you want, then we can also do that, make sure that, your site stays up to date, and also to ensure that there's minimal downtime, for any unforeseeable circumstances.
All right, perfect. All right, so just to end off then, can you send me a costing on the 2-week analysis that you need to do, is number one. And number two, can you send me some references as well that we can look at? Just, I don't know if you've got any clients that have worked in a similar sort of setup, from a more manufacturing sort of setup. If you don't mind sending those along, I'd just like to chat to them and see what it's been like working with you guys, firstly. And secondly, make sure that this is a project that's within your capability.
Yeah, 100% happy to do so. Happy to do the proposal and send that through to you, and we can continue the conversation from there. Also, more than happy to provide you with references. We are quite lucky that we've got a healthy number of references.
Okay, good.
In terms of clients where we've successfully delivered some quite similar projects to yours.
Okay, cool. So you've got my details. Just when you're ready, just email me that. We want to move quite quickly on this, so if you don't mind getting that through, that'll be great. Otherwise, thank you for your time. I appreciate the chat.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Take care.
E-commerce, fintech, banking and financial, AI integration, end-to-end custom development. Webtonic, think, design, build.